What's up YouTube? My name's Noah. I'm the man behind the camera here at elitefts. I've curated a list of things for Dave to react to. He gave me free reign to pick literally whatever I want. With that being said, cue Dave Tate rants in 3, 2, 1.
It's time to sit down, keep it real, and cut the bullshit. Welcome to Table Talk. All right, guys, we're going to do something a little bit different today for this podcast / crewcast. We're going to do a reaction video. I can't remember the last time I've done one of these, so I have no idea what Noah's going to pull up. But we'll see, and we'll kind of go from there. For the extended version, check out our crew. The link is in the description. Let's go.
All right, this is my debut. He doesn't know what I have pulled up, but we're going to go with it and see what Dave has to say. We'll start off with some YouTube.
Yep.
We'll start with this one. This one is from Jeff Nippard. He did a video recently on his top exercises. We're just going to skip to the end where he talks about his number one exercise, if you had one exercise to basically do forever, and what he thinks is best. So I want your opinion on that.
25 exercises.
All right, let's skip to the last one. Number one. All right.
I guess before we go any further, I should probably note I don't watch a lot of content, and I very rarely watch reels, shorts, or whatever you want to call those. Even though last night I did get caught on YouTube, on my YouTube TV, I figured out how to do it, and I got sucked down a rabbit hole for like an hour and a half, which was a reminder of why I don't watch this shit. And so a lot of these things I have no idea. Like, I know who Jeff is, but I'm sure most of them you're going to pull up, I have no idea who they are.
Yeah, I tried to do a little bit of a mix, some bodybuilding, some powerlifting, and just other stuff. But here's the first one, and here we go.
I only have time to do one exercise. Which one should I do? What I would tell you is that you should do a squat. MRI research shows more than half of your body's muscle mass is in your legs, roughly 55% in men and 58% in women. So simply based on muscle mass distribution, I think the number one exercise should be a lower body one. That said, squats will build up back strength and full body power. There's a reason why powerlifters always notice that if they get stronger,
All right, so it's the squat, right?
even if they aren't deadlifting. But the same doesn't work in reverse. As I see it, the squat is the king of all exercises. I don't.
Yeah, I'm a little conflicted. I don't disagree, because the squat for me is basically the only reason why I even train. And the only way I'm kind of conflicted here is we've had this conversation with a lot of different guests on the podcast of, you know, the same type of thing. First off, it's not realistic. It's a dumb question to begin with, because nobody is ever going to do just one exercise and that's it. The better question would be if you could only do like 5 or something, 4, 5, whatever it's going to be. Some of this more realistic, because nobody's ever going to do one. But I think it was Mike Israetel, a couple of the other people that we've talked to, we've kind of gone through this, and where they kind of fell on all this was trap bar deadlift. But I still think I'm gonna go with the squat. The only thing with the squat, if we're getting into this thing where you can only do one exercise, right, then there means there's limitations of something. There's time limitations, there's equipment limitations, there's some type of limitation, which is creating this unrealistic scenario where you can only do one exercise. So now if that one exercise happens to include you need a power rack to be able to do it, well, there becomes a problem with anybody that does not have a power rack.
Yeah.
Right? If you're stranded on a desert island and there's only one exercise you can do, the power rack kind of gets thrown out the fucking window, as does a trap bar deadlift and so forth. So that would be another caveat with that, but I'm still going to agree, because what I found for myself personally, if time-wise everything else gets pulled out but the squat stays in there, I maintain really, really well. From a body part perspective, it gets a little different. When there was a time when I run into time constraints, and it was back when I was training with John Meadows, and for this one certain period of time, the only training session I was able to get in was on a Saturday. And that day at that time, for whatever period it ended up being, it was 4 or 6 weeks, maybe even 8, we trained lats. And that was the only thing. It was a full lat workout. That was the only thing that we did. Surprisingly, I maintained pretty much everything else just from the heavy lat work, which I didn't think would be the case, just as much as I would have maintained if it just would have been leg day. So with this one, I'm not going to disagree. The squat is the number one exercise for sure, unless you can't squat. But I don't think Bugenhagen can squat. So that throws that caveat there.
All right, let's go to the next two, or the next one. Got quite a few, so we can just jump around here. Let's jump off topics. Let's go to another person you might know, but don't watch too much. This is Jesse James West, and he's talking with younger kids about steroids and how they're just absolutely abusing their bodies.
I'm getting like random nut cramps randomly. I don't know. Testicular pain. Yeah, I don't know what that means, but I mean, I had a problem. I had 180 blood pressure.
A nut cramp?
Tapping out, but I mean, I would have put stick in my casket. But yeah, your mindset. Yeah, bro, you just gotta live every day like it's your last. You know, and it could be my last. Who knows? The biggest one was acne, of course. I mean, Greg just made a whole video on it, you know, calling me out.
Is his body telling him in Braille to perhaps stop to maybe think a little?
And I'm losing hair. So yeah, I got hairline check. You willing? Are you willing? Hell no. I don't want to show the hair that got really bald. Let me see. We will blur it. Let's see. Nah. Oh, back hair. I look like a fucking gorilla. That shit is.
All right, you get the point.
All right, so kids taking steroids. What's funny to me from this clip here is their concerns are nut cramps, which I don't even know is physically possible, and then hair loss, and then the acne. So none of these concerns are. I don't want to say they're not real concerns, because some people they're going to be real concerns. For me, and I started at a younger age, not that young, but at a younger age, I really didn't give a shit about acne, a nut cramp, for whatever a nut cramp is, or obviously the hair loss. I didn't give a shit about that. Those, if that's the deterring factor, like, hey, look, don't take these steroids because your balls are going to cramp, you're going to lose hair, and you're going to get acne. Well, first off, most teenage kids are going to get acne anyhow, so big fucking deal. The hair loss, maybe, I don't know. It's not a real tangible reason that they're going to understand, or if I'm speaking to a kid, I don't think anybody should take steroids until they absolutely need to, or say mid-20s if we're to put a date on that. And the reason for that is more performance hypertrophy based, to where there's multiple ways that I've explained this before in the past. It's an ACE card, right? So if we're talking about athletics, if it's say a high school football player and they can't make the team and they play the ACE card just to be able to be a starter, maybe they're going to be the starter, but they're not going to go to the next level. If it's a collegiate athlete and they're not starting and they want to play the ACE card to be able to start, more than likely they're not going to go to the next level. Or, you know, if it's later in their career, they can play that ACE card as long as they don't get tested and so forth and make it to the NFL, right? If you're in the NFL and then you play that ACE card and it gives you 4 extra years, it's millions and millions of dollars. So you got to be kind of strategic on where you're going to be able to place that. Now, if it's strength sport and you're making progress and you're making gains, yes, you can go on stuff and make a little bit better gains, but statistically probably not as much greater increase than what you think, especially if it's a beginner. But for that, what you're trading out is how long you can be able to stay at your peak. Where if you can get close, let's say I would have started 5 years later, would that have then added another 2 or 3 years on my peak? because you add 2 or 3 more years on your peak. Think about what the additional output would have been, because for a lot of these things, when you hit your peak, it's not so much about when you how am I trying to explain that? When you hit your peak, you have to display your peak, and those are 2 entirely different things. In bodybuilding, it's how you show up when you're being judged. In powerlifting, it's what you show on the platform. And strongman, it's what you show on the competitive day. With the best training cycles, that does not always occur. Sometimes it will even occur with the worst training cycles. But it's a fact, right? And it's less than people think. So if your peak is only going to be able to be 2-3 years, average probably is going to be 3 years, then your opportunity to, and let's say you don't even get any stronger, you don't get any bigger, it's your peak. It's just how you're going to display that. Over that 3-year period of time, you may have 6 opportunities to be able to display that. Out of those 6 opportunities, you're doing really well if you're able to display that maybe 2 or 3 times, your best. Now, what if you can extend that into 12 opportunities and it's still, say, 50% of that? Your ability to actually display that peak doubles. The odds of that being able to happen because you postpone going on as long as you possibly can strategically factually increases, because some people will only have that peak time for a year or 2. The longer you can extend that peak time, the better it's going to be. To me, that's the better discussion point on why somebody should wait than anything else.
We're going to switch gears here more in the powerlifting realm, and you should recognize this spot pretty well.
All right, so that's from one of Louie's older videos. Would have been the max effort bench video. Big Mike, Chuck, the reverse bands. We rotated reverse bands with, I don't know if we ever used a strong band, but a light band and an average band. Warm up doing triples, working into singles. Kenny.
Whoa.
There's
Who's
me.
that guy?
Yeah. We also always used a grip that was closer than our competitive grip. So I think that's a thumb away from the smooth.
Jeez.
Kenny was a freak on these things. Kenny was a freak on all the bench stuff. That gym that was on Demhurst was a lot smaller than what people think it is, to where this was one of 2 2x2 racks, and then to the right on my side would be the monolift, and that was pretty much how long the gym was. And then there might have been 3 foot of a walkway, and then on the other side of the walkway, right when you walked in the door, there was a sled mill. It was like a treadmill that didn't have any, you had to make it move. It had resistance. Then the lat pull machine, dumbbells, chest supported row, and a carrying chest press. Then the belt squat. Somewhere in there was a seated calf raise, and that was it. And that was it. That's all that we had. Most of the gyms that I trained in throughout my whole competitive time, which was 20 some years, only 4 years was I in a commercial gym. So that's people that think you need all this fancy equipment. It's just bullshit. It's factually not true. Where, I mean, even the racks, we don't even have J cups. That's just a bolt that was put in there. And the bolt was put in there because the issues that we are having with the J cups is they took up too much space on the bar. So if you were squatting, the cup was in the way or the cup was too deep. So it was just fixed bolts, and the bar never rolled off the fucking bolts at all. When, we're going back a long time. When I was selling equipment, that was the racks. I was selling the rolling dumbbell extensions. Essentially what this is if you look at the mechanics, it's a JM press with dumbbells. That would be rotated in very, very frequently. For me, that was one of the drivers of my bench. So it would stay in waves. So 1 week would be heavy, the next week would be like a elbows out extension, and then this would come back in and roll back through. That rug is the same rug that we still have here now. It's older than hell. It used to be a rug. Then when I first met Matt Dimmel, he was squatting on that rug before I came to the gym. It was in Westside pretty much the whole time there. So this is then with the bands, we throw that on there for extra resistance at the top. The other interesting thing with these rolling extensions is the heavier you went, yes, it's heavier, but the easier they were. Because if you notice, the dumbbell hits me before you roll back. So if you try to do this is an issue when I'm trying to teach people how to you can go ahead and pause it. When I teach people how to do these is if they're using 20s or 30s, then it drops too far and you can't get the roll. So for me there, I don't even know what that was, 80 maybe. Our dumbbells didn't have numbers on it either. So
Oh, wow.
it was, you just kind of knew what they were by neither did the lat machine. We had chalk marks on the plates that were on the selectorized rack. It's like, this one here is for like push downs. This is for like the lat pulls. And it was just a chalk mark that we put on there. But when the dumbbells are wider, you're going to hit sooner and you're going to be able to get that roll right in the spot where it needs to be. So a lot of times what I'll have people do is pad their chest a little bit before they hit to be able to keep that same JM press. I call it a modified JM press. It's just where the wrist is a little bit behind the elbow and then you press back out again. It goes back too far. It essentially becomes a tricep extension. So what this modified JM press is kind of like breeding a close grip bench press with a full tricep extension. And then their baby ends up being this modified type JM press, which that's essentially how we did the barbell JM press and any other. It's a movement pattern. So what you see with the dumbbells there is pretty much the same thing if it was a barbell or the easy bar, or fat bar, or whatever the hell else that we are using for that. You can go ahead and play. With the bands, I don't know really how much that made. Yes, it made it harder at the top, but for myself, if I'm just being frank about the whole thing, it was easier just to grab the damn band and put it around my back than to walk over to the dumbbell rack, which was only 5 foot away, and grab a bigger pair of dumbbells. So this way, instead of working up, it's just grab the band, loop it around your back, and then kind of go from there. But this is still a movement that I think a lot of the lifters that come out,
And I've been doing, because of you, I've been doing those rolling tricep presses, and man, I love them.
Yeah. Once you get up to the 60s and 70s and stuff like that, you'll be able to feel what I'm talking about. It's going to feel a little more smooth. The sled dragging was, for me, kind of a key thing to where on off days, it probably played a bigger role than here. I think this was just filmed, just to be filmed, so it could be in the video. I didn't do a lot of the sled work on the days that we trained unless it was just like a warm-up thing. But the upper body sled drags here where there's really no eccentric action, I was able to do the days after training. If it was, backward, forward sled drags were just kind of the start of the whole thing. And then it would be the upper body, rear delt pulls, tricep extensions, flies, just anything that felt, I don't want to say sore, because the post-training DOMs or whatever I had was never really muscle soreness. It was just like you got ran over by a fucking truck. So I would work whatever areas with the sled that felt like I got ran over by a truck. And ankle dragging was another one, and that would be if the hips were a little shot. Forward, backward, ankle dragging, forward, backward, sled dragging, the front raises, rear raises, tricep extensions, pretty much every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And then the lower body for warm-ups for the other days. Are you feeling like you're not the man you're supposed to be? Low confidence, negative thoughts polluting your brain. That's me. I get it. I've been dealing with messed up hormones most of my life. A couple years I hooked up with Merrick Health, and it was one of the best things that I ever did. They're a health optimization platform that does advanced lab works and goes deeper than probably what you've ever seen before. What you'll get with Merrick Health is they have guided optimization and the self-service diagnosis. I personally have been using the guided optimization for the whole time I've been with him. Dry is my health coach. He does an amazing job. The second route that they have is the self-service diagnostics. This is just a DIY with your own health journey. You just head over to Merrick Health, pick the panel, and they'll send you the report. You just kind of go from there. Either way, I highly recommend them, and you can get 10% off right now. Just head over to merrickhealth.com and use the code TABLETALK at checkout.
He's warming up for a deadlift. This was posted pretty recently. I love watching his training. It looks just effortless. Everything he does.
That's great equipment in the gym. One takeaway real quick is you notice every rep, even with 1 red per side, is exactly the same. So he's conditioned himself to be able to focus on his technique with every set that he's doing.
And here's the top set. Jeez. Man.
He fell a little bit out of his groove on that one, which is why it stuck a little bit, throughout that whole thing. I would say he kind of rushed the start just the tad, but he knows it, so that's kind of why he does that. It's his videos are, if people watch his videos and they look at the technique and they look at how he sets up, how he positions himself before he pulls, how he sets the pull, his squat, all of his videos, there's a lot of takeaway from it. If you just watch and go back and watch again and slow it down, there's a lot to be learned from all this that I don't think people do. They just kind of watch and like, oh wow, that was 870 pounds, and I'm kind of like watching it like, oh, he kind of fucked it up a little bit from the way that he normally pulls it. But there's a lot to be learned there. It's a channel to follow right there.
Oh yeah. Jump back into the bodybuilding world. This is a conversation on Eddie Hall's podcast with Ronnie Coleman.
Every sort of generation, like Lee Haney, Going Yates, yourself, it's sort of like aggressive. Yeah. Get bigger, bigger. You think that's going to continue? Or do you think we're hit the sort of capability of the human structure? I don't think it's going to continue. You think it's going to, if anything, stagnant or go less? Yeah, stagnant or go less, yeah. One thing of this. People are changing now. They are not so driven, It's straight across the board, There's nobody that really dominate. Domination is not there anymore because the guys are less competitive, less driven.
Let out Ronnie Coleman.
No, not even close.
I don't know if I agree, because the same could be said for every generation that's come before. Saying, the ones that came before my generation in powerlifting were saying the same thing about us, like you guys aren't as driven and so forth. And I think some things get conflated where that may be true with the average, right? Because there's the average and there's going to be the ones that are above average, the outliers. And it can be said for just about anything, to where the average make up the majority of all these sports. And this gets lost, but so obvious, where in powerlifting you have, openpowerlifting.com, where you can go look at any weight class, any division, kind of look through there. And for most people that will say, I don't want to lift at a meet until I'm strong enough, then they can go on there and they can look and see that they're already stronger than 50% of the people that are on that list. So the average make up the majority of all these sports, but the only people that are ever really seen are the ones that are above average, right? You're not going to see a whole lot of average lifters posting all their shit on social media, right? Because they're going to think, okay, I'm not strong enough, I'm not big enough, or whatever. That's the majority. The majority don't post. This is what people don't understand. The majority of lifters are not posting the shit at all. I would say the majority of the lifters, so if we're looking at the mean, the average of what that is, they're lurkers. They're just watching. They're not the ones that are actually posting. So the ones that are actually posting are going to be the ones that are going to be above average. So they're posting on there. So when I hear comments about that, maybe the average is that, maybe the average doesn't have that same work ethic and all the other kind of stuff. But the above average, if in all these sports over all these decades have gotten better, bigger, and stronger as a whole since the whole shit started, why do we think that's not going to continue? History tells us it will continue. So it's going to keep continuing in that direction. There's raw lifters now lifting weights that back, 30 years ago we were looking at and thought, holy shit, that's a big fucking weight, and multiply gear on people that are gassed through the fucking roof. And now you have drug-free lifters lifting those same weights with none of the equipment or the powerlifting gear. Gear can be steroids or it can be powerlifting equipment. So it's always kind of been like that. But I think people's opinions get so diluted because of what they see instead of what is actual reality. And what you see on social media is not fucking reality. It's not real, and once they understand that, I disagree, right? But it's more complex than that, because maybe it is true. Maybe the younger generation doesn't have the same work ethic. I don't know, but the top does, because they keep getting better and better and better. Now in bodybuilding, it's a little different because the judges could just start judging things differently, to where several years ago, and I am definitely not a bodybuilding judge or the greatest bodybuilding fan in the world, but many years ago, the bubble gut or whatever they're, saying all that was accepted, and not by the population, but it was being rewarded. It's not being rewarded anymore. So it's not there. You don't see it. People aren't getting the accolades or winning the shows because of all that. So they had to find a way to not have that. So yes, the sport's going to continue. Ronnie, for example, nobody could predict what Ronnie was going to be, especially when he came in. I think one of his first pro shows, he might have placed like 14th. And then over the next 3-4 years, I'm not too sure, just boom, turns into this fucking thing that we've never seen before. Will we see somebody like him again? Man, I don't know, but history is going to tell us there's going to be somebody that should, be better, it all based upon the judging and so forth. So I agree and disagree. It's a little more complex than just general statements.
Next up, this one will be more of a funny one. Let's see here. I'm very curious as to what you have to say about this one. So we got Kim K here doing a workout DVD.
And what are your favorite things to do?
Biceps.
Yeah, she said that sincerely. All right, take the pen out. You have in, Good, and squeeze. Nice. Your muscle is significantly bigger than when we started this. It is.
Her muscles are bigger than when we started this.
Pull it out, pull the elbows into the waist. And up. Are you shaking?
I am. My arms start to shake.
Up and in.
Yeah, you get the point. That's
Yeah. The fitness industry is an interesting industry, right? on the positive side, they're doing something,
yeah.
you know, and maybe it will inspire somebody, you know, to exercise who's not exercising.
Yeah.
I don't understand and this shit. We've always had this stuff. When I can't. What this reminded me of when I first saw it is there used to be this TV show of these three. This is old, man. With these three women working out, and it should have just been soft porn, and all they did was moan. I mean, it was, as a teenager, it was like the greatest thing in the world because all they did was make sexual sounds and do these stupid movements like that all the time. But it served a purpose because, you know, it was like it gave me something to watch, masturbation material. But it's always been stupid shit like that.
All right. This next one, gotta thank Tom.
Her muscles got bigger while she was doing it. Right. That's the best part.
This was one recommendation here from Tom.
Gross. It just sat there like a balloon filled with water.
We'll just go back a little bit.
You're stronger.
It's also about what happens when things go wrong.
Oh.
Look, it's really fucking gross. It just sinks in like a balloon filled with water.
Oh.
Some of the stupidest shit. You know, people still do this. What I'll say, because I believe that's, I'll mispronounce his last name, Greg Valentino or whatever. What I will say about him is he used to have a column in, I think it was Muscle Mag, and they were like rant columns. They were the greatest things in the world to read. They were funnier than hell. This whole thing with Synthol and all that shit, I never really understood. Like, are there like, I'm sure there's some small population that's like, oh, that's the greatest. Usually it's like a skinny dude, you know, that's got like these whack fucking forearms and stuff like that. It's a mental health issue, that's for sure. But everybody can do whatever they want to do. It's just fucking weird.
So like, what's the point? Like, I don't even understand like what he's doing. Like, what is the goal? Trying to inject his biceps and arms? Like, what is the end goal here, other than just having huge arms?
Well, there's going to be extremes to everything. Where there used to be a compound, it may still be out there. One of them was called a acetylcholine, and then the Synthol and stuff like that. To where kind of really comes into play. Doesn't really get spoken about a whole lot is, so let's say a bodybuilder has a torn pec, right? And it's got a big dent in his pec. You know, he would use something like that to be able to fill that in, right? Or to add a little bit of size in a certain area to be able to provide more symmetry. And in most cases, you don't even know. It may still be being done today and you don't know. But, and for a lot that will do things like that, it will kind of wash out cross striations that they would normally have there, but so it's kind of used for like balance. Where one of the shows that I did forever ago, the guy I was training him with, it wasn't the Synthol, it was a acetylcholine, which I think worked by a different mechanism to where it just brought more inflammation into the muscle. And I did it. I forgot about this. All I remember is that we shot the shit in my calves and it hurt like a motherfucker. The only thing that I've ever injected that hurt worse than that was hydrogen peroxide. They hurt like a motherfucker. So that ended really fucking quick. But there was one, because I used to work as a bouncer, And so when we first started kind of messing around with this shit, I remember using it in my arms. So the biceps, like 2 spots in the biceps, and then 3 spots in the triceps. And you would use it, then you train, but you had to train light. You couldn't train real heavy because the pump was, I don't even want to say it was a pump. It was something like far beyond what a pump would be. And it put like 1.5 or 1 3/4 inches on my arms. And, you know, as a bouncer, you're wearing a polo shirt, you know, so everybody comes back from the summer, and that first week, the bars are just fucking packed, right? And I'm the door guy, and my arms are now fucking, you know, almost 2 inches bigger. And it was the greatest thing in the world because people were like, oh my God, your fucking arms, they're huge and all this other kind of shit. And it wasn't like that, you know, it wasn't the extreme like that. But what, this is the stupid shit you do when you're younger. What I didn't foresee with all that is it doesn't last. You know, so like a month later, it's like, man, what happened? You stopped working out, you know, and it's like, so you just, you know, start wearing sweatshirts for a while, whatever it's going to be until it goes away. But so what I think happens is you have things like that, which are kind of like cosmetic to be able to fill in this weak point. But whenever you have anything, there's going to be people who are going to go to the extreme. Like, what if we just do this, and this? And then sometimes I don't think they even know that it's gone past that extreme. You know, to where it's body dysmorphia. They're looking in the mirror and they're like, oh, fuck, it could still be bigger. And then they go from there. So I think that's kind of the why, that we're in attention. You know, I'm surprised there's not, maybe there is, but I just don't have this shit on my feed. It will garner attention. You know, people want attention. And we're in an attention economy now more so than we ever have been before in the past. So that kind of shit was getting attention during a time when it was like only magazines and stuff like that, that's the bigger question. Like, how'd that gain attention when there were so many gatekeepers behind the attention, and why doesn't it get attention now? Right. Yeah. So who knows? Maybe somebody will start doing it just because I said that. Don't.
Is this kind of what Rich Piana you think did, or is he just other stuff? Because I remember he has like huge arms. Like
it was speculated, you know, I don't know for a fact, but it was definitely speculated for sure, you know, but you'd have it. I don't know of any compound, I could be wrong, that's going to last long term, you know, so it always have to be done over and over and over again. So,
yeah,
you know, jamming fucking needles in your biceps. Can't say I've ever done that one. Well, I did. But it was not like, that was crazy, man. That was like
disgusting.
Like a 1.5 inch fucking stretch.
All right. So now we'll do another one. This was actually loaded today, like 4 hours before I came into work. But I wish I was here to see this guy. We've had him out on the podcast. And he's,
Boog. Yeah.
Yeah, he's so entertaining, and he just has some good stuff.
My whole approach, right? I'm still gonna freak horse cock because that's what makes my life worth freaking living. You know what I mean? So what I do, it's what I try. The best thing you can do is what you freaking want to do, what you're excited to do. But if you're horsing and having heathen, you're not gonna get very far and get tweaks. You know what I mean? And then eventually, like, frick, I'm so tweaked up. Maybe I just gotta start lifting light. Is lifting light the answer though? It is not the answer. Right? You don't need to train like a pencil, man. That's why I always like old guys that, you know, I used to do this, but they don't have any size. They're not lifting light. And you say, who are you referring to? I'm just referring to the freaking Nattys that I've seen. I've been lifting for 27 years. You know what I mean? Very rarely you see, you know, the old has-been lifters. They're thick sprint. They're a shot, but they used to be. They're still trying to train their freaking muscles, not train their tendons. Right?
So yeah, tendon training. So I didn't get to watch the rest, but that's basically what he was talking about there.
Tendon training is probably a little bit more complicated than that, but I'm a fan of the horse cocking thing, that's for sure. You know, there's no doubt about that. As long as there's some technique, you know, involved in the whole thing, where you can horse cock shit in one movement can become a whole body movement. You know, it's trying to think of an example. Well, he was out one time with, a few of the other guys. They were doing chest supported rows, and it essentially became like this whole body exercise. And he loves that kind of shit, right? And serves a purpose. But I'll kind of look at that and say, injury risk ratio. You can still go real fucking heavy, but I understand both sides because I've done the horse cocking. I fucking trained like horse cocking style when he came out, when we were doing what we were doing. And it just becomes a point in time to where if that's everything that you're doing, your joints just can't handle this shit anymore. Where, the argument, people, how great could it be if you could do chest supported rows, but also work your lower back, your hamstrings and all this other kind of shit. So it has its place. Everything has its place. I do agree with what he says in regards to the pendulum. Perhaps, I go back to this whole, what you see online is not actual real thing. The pendulum, kind of shifts a little bit too far into this optimum type of range to where things become so fucking strict that what are you doing? You're not you need to horse cock some things. Now if I was to boil down how I would kind of see it, you need to, like, your first one or two movements should be like horse cocking things. As you go through what you're doing on the training day, things are going to get, a little bit more strict, and specific, just because of the fatigue and the injury risk is going to go up a little bit. But yeah, you got to lift heavy fucking weights, and the heavy weights are going to be relative to whoever that person is. Now we've all seen the people that are just, dumbbell curls. I don't even know what the hell you would call them. Like, just swing and hang and bang and all this. Like, there's a better way, but it's a weird thing because I kind of feel you have to go through that whole thing. Like, let's use the dumbbell curl as an example, because pretty much everybody does those. It's like everybody will work up and work up and work up until they're just like swinging the shit, and they'll do that for a while, and then, which could be years, and then they'll cut it back, so maybe 50%, and do it with a little bit more intent. Then they start growing, right? So, but they were growing during that upswing before it became just too much of a disaster, for that. But they learned something during that time period, right? They learned, okay, this is really fucking training hard. This is lifting heavy weight, right? Then they bring it back down. From my experience and from people that I've seen, they don't know. That's one of the easiest ways to figure out how to bring it back down to where that becomes what's optimal, than thinking you can figure out optimal before you start horse cocking a bunch of things. Right. So it's people are stronger. They can become stronger than what they think they can. Right. And so that would be kind of my takeaway with a lot of what he says.
Yeah. That's kind of like where I'm at. Like when I'm training, it's like some days I'm more focused on like, is my form correct?
Mm-hmm.
Am I feeling the mind muscle connection? And other days I'm like, I just want to lift heavy. Like I don't care if the form is not as good. It's like, I just want to move some heavy weight and it feels good. So yeah. I kind of like teeter back and forth. It's like, cause I follow like the more science-based approach.
Yeah.
Stuff like Boogs and other people just throwing heavy weight. It's like, it just feels so good. And you still see growth.
Well, it's when you're talking about, say, reps in reserve, right? Or going to failure on a lot of the accessory type movements, that's where what does this mean? Right? Because you can use this science-based approach and then, be 1 or 2 reps shy of failure, but then in your head, you're like, motherfucker. And then you start horse cock, then you end up doing like 8 more. Yeah. Right? So I guess what I'm trying to say is when you kind of work in both ends of that spectrum, then you'll figure out how to get, instead of that 8 more, how to get 4 more, which is going to actually be closer to the reps in reserve, or the failure, the reps in 1 rep in reserve, or whatever the fuck you want it to be, than what the original one was, right? And you can always have that top set, which is somewhat horse cocking, and then have the down set, which is going to, because the one thing about when you're horse cocking shit to the extreme, and granted the pump isn't supposed to elicit growth, which 3 years from now, there'll probably be a study that's going to show that it does, right? But your pump from doing that kind of stuff isn't going to be the same than if you do that back down set or you do the stricter sets. Then the pump's fucking ridiculous, right? Why is that? Because you're focusing more just on that one muscle. I think both have to kind of be in there.
Yeah, that's literally what I feel like with the pump. Sometimes I'm like, I don't feel a pump, and then yeah, you literally just said it perfectly. Wow, that's crazy.
Staying hydrated is huge for training and performance. And this is why today's episode is brought to you by Element. Element gives you exactly what your body needs: 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, 60 milligrams of magnesium, 0 sugar, and no junk. Personally, I like to mix half a pack with my morning oatmeal. I'll use any of the chocolate flavors. I drink it with all my training sessions, watermelon being my favorite. Some other reasons why I use it is stable energy with no crash. It fights off fatigue and cramps, improves mental focus and clarity, helps regulate stress, and supports deeper sleep. And there's no sugar and garbage. Here's the best part. You can try it totally risk-free. Right now, Element is offering a free 8-count sample pack of its most popular flavors. With each purchase, you get 2 of each of these 4 fan favorites, perfect for finding your own favorite or sharing with a friend. Don't like it? Give it to a salty friend, and Element will give you your money back. Head over to www.drinklmnt.com/table talk.
Now I got a bunch of reels here. I'll just fire through some of them. They're all going to relatively be similar.
Oh, God.
I'll let it play through. I'll let it play through again.
What the hell is he doing? So he's got duct tape around his...
So yeah, that's one.
So the hypertrophy guide stopped me from doing...
Partial.
What the fuck is he doing in the first place?
Yeah, it gets worse. Here's another one. His adductor training.
So just isometric contraction, taking a shit's what he looks like he's doing.
He's literally just squeezing it.
Sure.
And then I got a few more.
Is this the science-based shit?
Yeah.
Oh,
some of it might be satire. Oh, this is... I love this guy. This guy just... It's got to be satire. Has to be.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, that's taking the dumbbell curls to that way stupid extreme there.
Oh, then that's another guy who can do it a little better. Let's jump down to here. Oh, Tom submitted this one too. He told me.
More important than we realize for physiological function and health. Research shows posture is even more important than we realize for physiological function and health.
So yeah, I don't know what to think about that one, but Tom thought it might be a good one to throw in there.
Whatever. I mean, it's...
Not much.
Well, I get the movement from a sport performance. What, is he holding something too?
Mm-hmm. Holding some kettlebells or dumbbells, I think.
I understand the partials. I understand slow tempos. I understand why people would put all that stuff in there and different. I understand the high squats, so I understand the logic behind all that. What I don't, the more glaring, because everybody trains differently, right? I'm not going to sit here and bash, one way style of training, but there's still marketing which is attached to everything. So it's, if I look at things, like this or some of the other things, safety's kind of what I'm thinking about. Now there are safeties that are set up there too, but when your hands are not able to, grab the handles, that's, to me, it's like that, it's a little concerning, but the safeties are there. I mean, it's competing. I can remember doing not this, because the depth would have been a little bit more, but I do remember doing yoke bar squats. It's a Elite FTS SS yoke bar. So
yeah, I was about to say, I was like, that looks awesome.
Yeah, he's got the best bar in the business. To where we would hold a small stability ball, in front of us, more in a rounded position to kind of get our backs in more of the position that we would deadlift from, to be able to do that. So I understand movements that are like this, for very specific purposes. I also understand why, what is that, Joel Seedman? I understand why he gets bashed, right? And, why he backs up when he gets bashed. From, a hypertrophy standpoint, yeah, it's probably not the best, but anybody can take any movement done in any way and justify why that's being done. It's just how the whole industry and everything is. And if it sets them apart and helps them build their business, all the more power to them. But if somebody else is watching it, then they want to go replicate it. That's where safety is going to become the bigger thing for me, more so than anything else. Is somebody going to watch something like this but not put the safeties up? And I don't know what the caption says, so the caption could explain all this kind of stuff as well. So, it is what it is. The research thing, it's you can find research on it to support fucking anything.
Yeah.
Right. But a lot of times though too, and I don't know if that's the case here, from when I would look deep in basically almost anything anymore, because I don't believe anything at face value. Because a lot of the times when you actually go look at whatever research is being cited for anything, and again, I don't know if it's the case on this one, and you look at the research, it's not even about what they said. It doesn't even say what they said. It's just some fucking paper that they'll throw out there that maybe they went on PubMed and found the title. It's like, well, that title looks like it might work, because they just assume nobody's going to go look.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting, right? Because if you do want to go look, then you got to go look.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the times all you're going to be able to find is the summary, because you don't subscribe to the fucking journal to be able to know what it's going to be. And that's another game that kind of gets played. It's always been that way as well.
Yeah.
In the BDSM or something like that. He's got a mouth. I mean, dude's actually about to do some stuff. Let's do some curls.
I think he's got a seatbelt around his arm too.
Science-based lifter does big weight curls. He's doing body weight curls because he's a science-based lifter. They don't weigh damn near over 40 pounds, man. Oh my lord. Yeah. He's got his biceps here. You need to do preacher curl to use your biceps.
I don't understand what the whole, is that like a bicep blaster or like?
It's literally just a seatbelt.
What the hell's a seatbelt for? Well, my first reaction is when I see a science-based lifter and the kid's like under 14, like how much science has he actually consumed?
Yeah.
So it's.
Yeah. Like I can't tell if some of these are like just for a joke.
Yeah.
But like, yeah.
My take is most of the shit's probably just for a joke and for attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, that's why I don't watch reels and stupid shit like that.
Yeah.
That kind of shit definitely doesn't come up on my feed.
Yeah. I think I got maybe one more. I think.
There's like a ton of kids doing that kind of shit.
I guess. Oh, this guy again.
Oh, yeah. I think I have seen him before.
Yeah.
The fuck is a mask for? I think I saw a video of him one time putting on like 4 pair of knee wraps.
Yeah. I think he's got 3 belts on.
What's kind of funny about this is.
Yeah, you get it.
Yeah, with
that's not even horse cocking. That's.
Yeah. We're in the whatever time period, because most of my training was always in smaller private type of gyms, but there were short spurts, of 2 years here or 1 year here where it was in a commercial gym. And you'd always see somebody doing not this extreme, but somebody doing like stupid shit like this, all the time. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing? But what I always wonder about this is, I don't know, there's like fucking 8 plates that it's sitting on and then 10 plates on the bar is, you know, he's going to work up to that, I assume. You know, that's like an hour, man. It's like at least a half hour just to grab all the shit. And in a commercial gym, those plates are not just all sitting in one place either.
Right.
You got to, this is where my brain goes with this. It's like, man, you got to walk all the way to this side of the gym to grab 2 plates. You got to grab another 2 plates all over here. You know, it just takes fucking forever to be able to set the whole thing. Like, how much work are you getting done in the time period that you're in there?
Yeah.
You know, for that. And
that's the workout itself, is getting the plates on there.
well, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's probably the majority of where his conditioning comes in, is loaded carries. You know, so loaded carries are a big thing. Like, everybody's talking about the loaded carries, and they may bash this dude for these 3 or 4 reps, but you got to take into account that how many 1, 2, 3, he did like 15 sets of loaded carries just to set the thing up. So his torso should be strong as fuck. So you shouldn't need to wear 3 belts, you know, because his torso should be built. So, yeah.
I think
I'm sure there's people that get pissed watching stuff like this, where it's just is what it is.
Yeah. I think that was the last one I was able to find.
All right.
While we're on here, do you want to search anything? Something you think we should talk about? Or
just go to Explore.
all right. On YouTube? Or?
No, right there on the left side. So,
all right.
Not the search, the Explore, the next one down. I think it's like like the For You page. Yeah. I'm just interested because every time I click on my Explore page, there's like a bunch of shit in there that I'm never interested in.
Yeah.
Repost all your content. Hashtags are dead. Lifting with max effort.
Oh, there's Louie.
Yeah, there's Louie. Yeah, the nervous system loves the repetition. All right.
Franklin takes his first peptide.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
If you see anything, we can click on it. Mason Mills.
Old school. What's the old school? Yeah, click on this old school thing.
Let's see.
Dave Tate here from Elite FTS to talk to you about bands. We've been a supplier of bands for almost 2 decades now. So I've known my way around the band landscape. When I'm talking about bands, I'm talking about floss bands, long bands, short bands, bands you can use for resistance training, mobility training, body weight training, and flossing. One of our most popular bands, or actually our most popular bands, are the long bands. The long bands are typically used the most with squats, bench presses. Our floss bands are bands that you wrap around the joint to be able to help with mobility, circulation. And the short bands are designed for shorter range movements, bench press, deadlifts, and a lot of times people will use them with resistance machines to help accommodate the strength resistance curve. Head over to elitefts.com and look for bands in the toolbar or blowout menu.
Old school tricep, bicep workout, high volume training today, preparing for crazy training cycles.
That looks kind of like almost like a rolling jam press or whatever.
Yeah, the old school kind of caught my attention because
Is that really old school right there? Like
I mean, I'm not seeing anything that.
Yeah, I do that too, right?
Like my perception of old school is I'd start seeing things like Zercher squats and, you know, some of the other stuff. This is just like, you know, basic arm stuff.
Yeah.
You know, but that's, you know, it's we're watching this when we went back to that horse cocking thing.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. This is kind of that training that I think everybody needs to do and do hard, right? Then each one of these movements can be, you know, scaled back, you know, to get a greater range of motion, better stretch and all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But you need both, right? If I was to favor one side, you need more of that than you do the other.
Yeah. All right, let's see what else we got on here. Something popping out.
Gym strength versus sport strength.
Where do you see that?
Weight.
Whoa.
Oh, that's a good one. Go to that one.
Oh. Oh.
Fuck.
Oh. It's like
What?
that's how did it flip the whole thing? That's like under 400 pounds. Unless those are not.
It's a
40
shitty
pounds.
rack. I mean, they should have bought the rack from Elite FT. That's the only thing. But it's shitty spotter, shitty rack, and the counter. If you look back at that, there's no counterweight on the bottom weight pin.
Where?
Where the weight storage is.
Oh yeah. Oh.
You know, so all the weight storage is up towards the top. I mean, that's just kind of like an accident waiting to happen. I mean, they could have bolted the rack down too, but I understand why they don't.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah.
All right, what else we got?
So I can't bitch about people posting shit like that because we just clicked on it.
Yeah.
So if they want attention, I mean, it's
then
like
we're giving it to
on.
them. Yeah. Peptides 101. Oh, I think this is genetic anomaly, maybe.
It's a big fucking kid.
Oh no, that's not who it is. Yeah.
Click on that dude with the hood on.
This one?
Yeah.
Hey guys, if you're enjoying what you're watching, make sure to take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe.
Let's make some scary weight. This
Oh, that's not who I was thinking of, but yeah, this guy's massive.
goes from another planet. I quickly loaded on every plate in space. These plates felt fake. These kids were.
Is that shit for real?
Yeah, he's got other stuff. I almost put some of his stuff in the video. Let me go to his yeah, this is I think this there was one where he squatted like so much weight. Maybe it's this one.
What's the chance at the 8th dumbbell?
No, it's not that one, but
Kid's strong as fuck, man. Boogs needs to train with that dude.
yeah.
That would be a video I'd watch.
Yeah. That's crazy. He just keeps going. Yeah, there was one of his leg press where he yeah, I can't find it now, but yeah, I have seen that guy pop up before.
It said it was natty too. Holy fuck.
There's no way. I'd be very surprised. What else we got? Powerlifters for no reason squat edition.
Yeah, well, let's watch that one.
All right.
Oh, that's the bottle.
Bro, it is moving so fast. Oh yeah, man, that's not exactly a PR, but it's like an RPE PR. But it was like a rep PR, RPE 6 PR.
Yeah, I get it.
Is that pretty accurate?
No.
Or no?
No.
Clickbait.
Mm-hmm.
We got baited. Whoa. Oh.
Oh shit. That's the first time I've seen that. It's a lot of fucking weight for that thing, for one thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if the bar is meant to hold that much. I'm not too sure that's the actual J cup you want to use.
J.M. Blakey. He commented.
Yeah.
Man.
It's a lot of weight. It's a lot of weight for that. I don't know if that. It's not the reason why I would use.
Oh.
Yeah. The reason why we'll put in stuff like that in training that we have for lifters is just to create better stability. You know, it's with that type of bar there, the way that I personally use it is I'll put on like a quarter side and do it for a song.
Yeah.
So I'll wait for the song to come on, then either just hold it at the top, hold it mid position, do reps, just hold in different positions over that time period, just to kind of help build, the stability and so forth. It does help my shoulder for sure when I put those in there, but you put a lot of weight on there, man. That's first off, it's strong as fuck with that. And I don't know if the bar's meant to hold that much for one thing, but that's kind of not what the bar's designed to be able to do.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'd use that bench either.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that looks like a car seat.
Well, if you look at the J cups, it's real thin.
Yeah.
So basically you see what happened. It's designed to cut that bar right in half.
Shall we keep going or?
Yeah, we'll see if we find something else.
Oh, that's genetic anomaly right there. That guy. That's who I was thinking of.
It's another natty thing.
Yeah. He's got a growth on the side of his arm. It's like the size of a meatball. I guess we can't see it, but yeah, he's done a lot of videos on his YouTube of him. Basically, he's getting close to dying because he's just doing so much stuff. He's trying to come off, and it's really bad.
But it said it was natty.
Yeah, he's not 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so he's got other videos where he's talking about taking a ton of shit.
Yeah, his name is Genetic Anomaly. Yeah, he's super young too. I've seen Larry Wheels has trained with him, and yeah, he's I forget where he's from. Somewhere around Russia or Europe, maybe. Yeah, he's a freak.
That would probably be one of the, when I was talking earlier, there's a newer category of lifters, and that's ones that are just Instagram.
Yeah.
Or
definitely.
Social media lifters.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if the lifespan matters. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not going to be taking shit so they can have that 3 more years at the end of their cycle. They're just taking stuff to be able to get attention. So with those, just from the business perspective, I'd be curious at what's next. Right? Because if they do all that to be able to get attention, and then they're going to go off and then look like a normal human being, what are they going to do with those followers that they gained?
Yeah.
Right? Because they gained them for some reason, and I'm going to guess there's no strategy, outside of that. So whatever attention that they gather is just going to move to the next freak, then the next freak and the next freak. And then in the meantime, they're fucking their health up and everything else. So whatever, anybody do what they want. All right, guys, we'll shut this down. If you like these kind of videos, let us know. We can do more of them. And other than that, shop elitefts.com. Join the crew if you want the extended version of this. Until next time, we're done.
All content you see on this channel and at elitefts.com is created by, take a guess, Elite FTS. If you want to help support the content, head over to elitefts.com and pick up literally anything that you need to be able to get more jacked and strong.